Oh, we hope you had a lovely break. Maybe you made yourself a toasty or a grilled cheese, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or you just sat there and watched the replays of these guys, VP, just blowing people up the entire time. Of course, you just heard my little dog in the background. That's Stella. I'm Golden Boy. You, of course, got new casters here. It's Achilleos and Avasios, as I like to say.
Vastios.
Yeah,
Vastios.
we haven't really workshopped that one, but we have gotten to combo a little bit here on the Rivals train.
Doesn't sound good. I don't like that.
Killavast. That seems good.
I don't like that.
Sounds like a trail in the middle of the Appalachian Mountains, you know? It's like, oh,
why not like double A? Why can't we do like
trail?
something cutesy, like double A? Like we're the double A batteries. We bring the energy or something. Why can't we be cutesy? Why can't we be like that?
Okay, but that's cutesy to you? Good. All right. Well, we learned something new about it.
Versus a kill of ass versus let's murder of ass. Like, yeah, that's a great one. I love that one.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards that.
I actually, chat, let us know what you think. Sound off in the chat there.
Roll poll in the chat.
No wrong answers. No wrong answers. In any case, folks, welcome back to Rivals Fight Night. This is our NA portion of the show. And now you probably came into this thinking, oh, wait, it wasn't going to be Sentinels versus Envy. Well, unfortunately, there was a technical issue on Sentinel's side last second, so they could not join us. And it's completely understandable. It is what it is. But Shroud X stepped up in the moment where you need them most, and they will be going up toe-to-toe against Envy today. So, fellas, we're going to get to see Envy versus Shroud X. Vaspi saw these players at the Shroud Gauntlet. It was a very long event, but...
We saw him a lot.
It was a long one. It was on the longer side. But we did get to see a lot of range from these two teams. You got to see Speedy on the Envy squad fit into this lineup. How did that play out? What did you make of both of these squads in the Shroud Gauntlet?
I mean, realistically, I think for Envy, this is a team that, after looking so great, obviously, in the Gauntlet and looking so great in Fight Night previously before this with their new roster additions, like you said, speedily, this team looks really, really good. They end up winning the Gauntlet, the Shroud Gauntlet, so this is a team that's coming off a very hot event for them. Obviously, slightly different rule set. We're not running a Fearless draft here. Shroud X, on the other hand, obviously went out in the lowers, but overall for Envy, if you're an Envy fan, you should be feeling really hyped, especially because right now, they're all boot camping together currently in Dallas.
Right.
6 players coming up. They're all playing because of the upcoming Dreamhack event, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more of in a little bit. But right now, this team is looking like a team to beat, I'd say, even though they're not the current reigning champions.
Let's actually do that real fast before we move forward here, because I think showing the lineup here is a good opportunity to say what's going on at Dreamhack, because Intel is teaming up with Envy and RFN, and they're actually going to be doing some Dreamhack money matches, I believe, with the Envy boys. So there you can see the squad, and you can go, if you're heading over to Dreamhack, make sure you find them at the Intel booth Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. There you can meet, some of the RFN crew, because Vass, you're going to be there. ZP, I think, is going to be there too.
Yeah, we're obviously flying in Achilleos too and bringing him in the box.
Yeah,
actually, we're not. We're not going to bring him from Korea. We're not going to bring him from Korea. We debated it.
In,
but we're
in
like,
the dog crate,
we're not
in the
gonna ship
hull.
him in. Yeah, we're going to put him in the cargo section, but we decided not to. But we're all going to be there, running a fun match. Intel obviously helping us put it on, so thank you so much, Intel, for the Dreamhack booth and for the NBA guys here Saturday, 11 to 4 p.m. Central Time, of course, because it is in Texas, in Dallas. And it's going to be a really fun time, and I hope we get some fun stuff with the fans, with NBA, and just hanging out there. So make sure to catch us.
Perfect.
I am actually very jealous because I've never gotten to. I've been to like one Dreamhack ever in Stockholm, and it was like forever ago. Yeah, I've only ever been to not Stockholm, but Jönköping. I went to Dreamhack Winter in like 2015. Only one I've ever been able to attend. But I really miss being able to go.
Dreamhack.
Yeah. But I really miss going to like conventions and gaming, things like that. I used to go to a lot of LANs when I was younger, and I TO'd and everything, or did like admin at LANs and stuff. It's a fun time. So if you guys are in that area or can fly in, I would genuinely very much recommend it because it's such a good time.
I agree. I did I believe Overwatch was OWCS finals at Dreamhack Winter just last year. I forgot how much I loved Dreamhack, how much I loved being with other gamers, just enjoying the space. It's a lot of stuff to do. It's super fun. Like, I know it sounds like we're shilling hard. Honestly, we kind of are, and I don't give a shit. Like, look, real talk, we kind of should.
I mean, we don't own Dreamhack. We don't own it.
We need more events. Okay,
this is all just real talk.
Yeah, this is all real talk. I just like seeing people.
if you want to go and you want to have a good time at DreamHack, deodorant and body spray. It's a good thing to pack in the bag. Just, you know, you got a bunch of nerds. They're all going to be in a convention hall.
That's right.
You're really selling it. You're really selling it here. Like, let's go to DreamHack. It's going to be stinky.
Bring some water. Okay, you never know. Stay hydrated, kids. Trust me. All right, because you don't want the hems. In any case, though, let's go ahead and move forward. By the hems, I mean hemorrhoids. To Shroud X.
Great way
for the clarification.
Great way to intro Shroud X.
Figured you enjoy that one, Achilleos. All right, Shroud X. We're not going to talk about what I use for the transition. Instead, we're going to talk about this team and really in the Shroud Gauntlet, every player had like a moment, right? We saw Doomed, you know, like have some pop-off moments, right? We also saw Vision have his moments, right? Every one of us on this team really does bring a punch to the lineup, and it seems like they're only continuing to get better. These are guys who have won RFN as well, so this is not a out of the realm of possibility for them, right?
No, 100% not, and they do have a lot of flexibility with the squad. I think they've just played a lot of interesting compositions in the past, and you know, when we forced some of the Fearless draft for the Shroud Gauntlet just occurred, they definitely showed a little bit of adaptability. They took, you know, there were longer drafters, some of the longer drafters, so they're really thinking about it. They're putting their time into it, but they definitely have a bit of flexibility on this squad. And also an interesting point for them too is, I mean, they weren't prepared. I think they just kind of last minute come in for this event, right? Where Sentinels, they had the tech issues. So not only are we happy that they're doing that, but I'm going to give them a little bit of leeway where maybe if they start off a little slow, that's fine. Perhaps they were all chilling and they're like, oh, like we got the call, you know, like here we go. So I'm hoping though they come in guns blazing. This team has been champion in the past, like you said, GB, and I do think that this is going to be a squad that's always right on that cusp, right, of being like really, really good, and they still are very solid.
Yeah, this is a lineup that has had Achilleos a lot of moments that, you know, we were like, oh, they might be out of this, but they've shown how they can pull through in those big plays, right? We wanted to see that when we were watching the EU side of things with Team One, right, and how they were able to pull up through the clutch. But to the point that Avast had made, they're coming into this one a little last second, so you know we're perfectly fine to give them some leeway here. As for you, what are some of the things that you're going to be looking out for, especially now that we're going to be using the Ignite draft system, which, for those who don't know, basically you're banning what your opponent can use, not global bans. So it's a little bit different, more targeted. What do you make of this, Achilleos?
I think it's going to be a big change-up. Obviously, I haven't been here for a Rivals Fight Night in quite some time, so I'm excited for all of the changes that have come to. I mean, there's some new characters as well that are going to be in play. So for me, it feels like I'm kind of just restarting all over again, once again being thrown into the deep end. But I think that the draft system, it's a really interesting change-up, just not, you know, saying like, oh, not for you, but we can go ahead and use it. I'd also be curious to see, you know, Fearless. I might have to go back and see how that all played out, because Fearless in Rivals seems pretty.
If you have 8 days,
make sure to 2x the VOD. Make sure to 2x the VOD.
Yeah, I might be able to do that here in
real quick.
Goodbye. My wife is leaving for work, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. But I'm right there with you and Avast, and wondering how warmed up they're going to be, how prepared they're going to be for this. I mean, obviously, again, props to them for being willing to just kind of dive in. But if I know gamers, they were just sat either watching this broadcast on, but they're probably out on the second monitor, and
they were on a Discord already.
Ranked anyway. They were already playing the game. They probably have their warm-ups out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Do want to give a quick shout out to Darth Boogie. He is all of your fathers, because he just hit us with an awesome gifted sub. So thank you so much, Darth Boogie, for that one. Appreciate the 5 gifted for the channel. Make sure you guys get out there and support RFN and what we're doing out here. Wholly independent broadcast ran by people from the esports community for the esports community. That sounds cringe as hell, but trust me, it's actually true. So you might want to give them a follow. You can also, you know, subscribe to the channel if you happen to do so. And if you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, why don't you go ahead and, you know, follow there too, subscribe, do what the kids do. All right, use hit the buttons. All right, hit the buttons. That's me.
You gotta
This
do
is
that.
how I
You
look.
gotta do that. I want to see this many likes on the stream within the next 5 minutes.
And you got to do it
Speaking
in
of
an
the youth
obnoxious
right there.
YouTuber voice, you know. I want to see this many likes on the video in 5. You know, no, we're not doing that here. Also, though, someone had to come into the channel and ask real fast about what was going on. Thought Sentinels were going to be playing. Yes, there was a technical issue on their end. They couldn't find a sub in time, and completely understandable. Lots of stuff going on. They want to make sure that they're playing their best. So they decided to drop out. Shroud X is in. Here we go, fellas. The draft is beginning. Let's see what we get.
And remember, as we were talking about, this is now the new Ignite system ban. So when you're seeing a ban come out, it is obviously a ban that is not going to be banned for. It's not a global ban. It's just for the team. So Shroud X banning.
It's
no
global ban.
And
No shocker.
And it's a duel. And it's a duel.
Yeah,
I mean
that's happened every time, by the way. Human Torch has not made it past the first ban for every single match we've had today.
And he's very strong currently, which makes a lot of sense. That is potentially going to change because we're not at the patch 2.5 just yet, obviously. So there aren't Achilles. I know you're worried about like a bunch of new heroes. Luckily, Ultron's not here yet. You don't have to deal with that just yet. It's not completely new. But Human Torch is going to be nerfed a bit. But right now we're still at 2.0, and Human Torch is very, very strong. Is Emma Frost protected for Shroud X, and a Groot ban for Indy.
And that was one of the things that I was like, all right, Emma Frost, let's see what's going on here. Took a little peek, took a little glimpse, and I'm like, all right, I think I understand this. It's a little bit of a mishmash of a lot of characters that I've, that I'm familiar with from other titles, and I think it comes together in a really unique way, which is intriguing to me.
They went with the ban Groot, protect Groot, so that sets them up nicely. Makes you wonder where things are going to go on the Shroud X side, and what are they going to prioritize to ban here.
I mean, that was the thing, like, coming into this that I didn't even really consider with the draft system, is being able to, just ban and protect at that same front. So that's like, okay, now only we can use the Groot, and we're making sure you can't remove it from us. So I think that's so damn cool.
Groot has been a very, very meta pick, honestly. So this is a pretty, especially interesting because I think the first map here we're playing like Hell's Heaven, I believe. And Groot has historically been really, really strong here. So for Shroud X, they're going to be protecting Emma Frost and playing with Emma Frost. To me, that aligns at like, okay, we're going to play a very aggressive style composition, especially because, okay, we've removed Adam Warlock, so there's not going to be triple res comp, right? We don't have to worry about triple res. To me, it feels like it's going to be very brawl heavy. We're going to try to get around the Groot. We're going to try, and Wolverine getting picked, and Wolverine kind of the arch nemesis to Groot, unless Magneto's being played, which I imagine Envy is probably not going to ban Magneto, which are not. Okay.
So
Might not have been a bad idea to ban Magneto, honestly.
It could have been interesting, yeah.
Yeah, we saw in the EU matchups, VP really prioritizing the Vanguards, whether it was for the bans or for the protects, whereas here kind of feels a little bit more like, and again, for Shroud X, I'll give him some leeway because it's been a little bit. Honestly, both teams really when it comes to the draft, because, things kind of got shifted last second, right? So not a shocker that we're seeing bans and protects that are kind of even across the board, very similar. You're really just looking to get rid of some of those bigger meta picks. Whereas on the one side, they prioritized the Emma, the other side, they prioritized the Groot. Hell's Heaven is going to be the battleground here for our first map. Groot loves this map. Big fan of it. He told me himself.
Yeah,
we were homies like
a lot
that.
of jokes.
All right, fellas, I'll let you guys go and have some fun with this one. Shroud X versus Envy.
Thank you very much, GB. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get ready to get into the action. It's good to be back, and it's good to be here with you once again, Avast.
Even though you were championing the Akill of Ast duo name, but I'll accept it.
It's a good name.
It's definitely a name. I would say it's definitely a name. But right now, Envy rolling out on the Groot Magneto composition, which is something that probably expected there. Obviously, the Jeff just to get some of the speed bubbles and Shroud.
This though is real.
Yeah, this is very real.
Squirrel Girl.
Which, to be fair, Squirrel Girl is getting buffed in 2.5. However, she's not currently buffed, but Squirrel Girl can get some value, right? You can get some value here, and there isn't Groot walls to block a lot of this damage, so maybe just going to rely on the spam here. Oh, well, okay, I thought they had the Groot, but good save from the jump pack, from the jetpack there from the rocket. Very good save.
They're not quite able to find the pick there, but still going to be some decent damage coming through, and that's going to be the biggest concern, of course, with Squirrel Girl, is just how quickly that can spiral, and we're already going to be seeing a first kill coming through. Dongman does get taken down, but quickly gets traded back. Vision will go ahead and find that there with the Winter Soldier. Sent towards that ultimate here as the neutral fighting coming through. Point unlocked. First little step forward, looking to try to get the cap. Here's Envy.
Yeah, just a lot of poke, but Doom still looking for the abduction, looking for the leap, gonna find it again. Up in the air for a long time, then come back down. Window getting hooked. They have the bubbles, they have the peel. Looks like Window's gonna make it out.
Yeah, have the shields there from Kalush trying to keep him protected, but no, enough damage does end up coming through as Nook will be able to find that kill. So Window dead as ult's now starting to come online, pulling the trigger here on this one. But investing. Still not coming through here for either side. Envy occupying the point, but Shroud X trying to fight back. Packet out going to be online as the Squirrel Stampede going to be sent forward here. Like how Cal just to try to open things up a little bit more, find some additional picks. HP bars fall low, but Kalush does get sustained back up to full. Tuck around the corner as now armed and dangerous is Vision, but he is fouled and Doomed, oh my god, is able to find a quick 4K. Exits back, a sliver of HP remaining down to 7. Let's grab that health pack. Point still not yet capped, but Shroud X very much poised to find it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, the point has still not been capped here. It's pretty much just speedily gonna go down there. And finally, first flip going the way of Shroud X, and Doomed on the Wolverine, getting so much value there. And it is kind of the benefit a bit of, I think you just have a lot of pressure here for Shroud X with the Emma Frost that Envy does not have. You know, you don't have the Carbon Crush, you don't have that Diamond Form just to try to maybe interrupt those. You don't have the shield. But I mean, realistically, Envy have everything in the bucket in order to deal with this. But Doom, once again, hiding, looking for the leap, gonna find it. Kalush very far out on the point.
And he's just immediately assassinated. Basically the solo kill there from Doom to maybe a slight little tag in from a couple other people, but he is just playing this so damn clean. I mean, we were seeing some really good Wolverine play and kidnaps in that previous series over on the EU side of things, but I haven't gotten to, I'd say, cast like an impactful Wolverine map quite just yet here at Fight Night, and I'm glad that I'm getting it because this is something else.
And this is a really cool way that Shroud X in particular are playing this competition, like, you know, highlighted with this Emma Frost versus having the group, because they're really just applying tons and tons of pressure with the chokes, letting Doom just try to make space and forcing these bubbles out a little early. Yeah, they're gonna do it again, and that's already a bubble out. The Tsunami, the Squirrel Tsunami, dead, gone. That's two big things out of the way.
Cleared out of the way, and I mean, just gonna be dead on the back end of that one. Dongmin coming away with one as they break down the front line, and it's just everybody falling to the wayside right now here on the side of Envy. There's Nero and Month trying to just go ahead and kite back, get themselves alive over towards the spawn, but Shroud X feeling very dominant in control here at the moment and still have a couple ults behind as well.
And I think this is where the Squirrel Girl is starting to slow down a bit in the value, right? Because, like, A, the ult, very easy to shut down. Everyone just turns and shoots it immediately. Secondly, you know, if you don't own a choke, if you don't have any flanks, you can't really fight the flanks super effectively compared to a lot of heroes there as Engage going down.
And just again, dead here on the entry as ults get committed. Kalush gonna get picked off. Envy needs something here in response, needing to find a trade, but now it's just up into the air. Armed and dangerous once again is Vision. Looking for the reset's not quite gonna be able to find them there, but they will still find the eliminations as Shroud X is looking to find themselves with a perfect opening round here. As it looks like Hell's Heaven is going to be theirs to start. Overtime going to start to bleed down. Portal is up here from Kalush to try to get them back over to extend this one, but it continues to bleed, and they are just going to get picked repeatedly on entry. Vision will die at long last. Pretty sure first death, as there weren't many kills found here by Envy, but that is a hell of a start.
Yeah, let's check the scoreboard, actually. That's a really good point here. I don't know how those limbs went down. I'm pretty sure Envy did get a couple, at least in the opening sequences of Cal, but it wasn't very high in terms of the final hits. Yeah, I mean, they have a total of, what, 3 final hits there for Envy? So pretty low overall, and definitely just something that I think they struggled a lot for the re-entry. And even with having the group, even having that option to use the walls to block the silence, try to re-enter the point, that's where Shroud X did a really good job of just mitigating the group value of either finding the early abduction onto a Vanguard so they couldn't walk in, just holding the choke super aggressively with the Emma Frost damage, with the shield, with the Mind Aegis. So well played from Shroud X so far. And I mean, Doomed being definitely a bit of a hero so far. And Envy, they need some options to shut this down. Yeah. It's a
little bit good. A little bit good. Cal now going to try to match and outdo as he swamps over to the Wolverine.
Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to G Davis for the gifted subs, or as I like to call him, Good Davis. Enjoy.
Good Davis, a little Australian, perhaps. Gets a little Aussie here. As Doomed already on the flank, hunting Cal, trying to go for the counter hunt. They're slashing, they're mashing, they're just looking at each other right now. The bubbles are used, and now it's just a question: who finds the leap first potentially?
Doomed is getting tagged up quite a bit. Some sustain coming through. Just, you know, where their bread is buttered. So Shroud X just sustain here for the moment, as that's just going to be one to throw into the prison here, trying to find a pick. Unity at the same time does end up getting traded out. So good opening kill found here for the side of Envy, but now in a response, Shroud X coming away with one of their own. Doom still wreaking havoc going into the back lines. Going to try to go ahead and reposition those, swinging around the side. Will be a 1-for-1 here as far as the Wolverines on either side are concerned. In there onto Window, has him isolated. And he will be grounded to find Pulp there. His vision is able to find the limb. Shroud X once again poised out to find the opening camp and maybe set themselves up for a 2-0 here on Hell's Heaven, as still diving forward here with the Kraken. Vision just looking for some more picks, some more resets. Won't find too many staggers though.
No, but Shroud X continuing to play this really, really well. I love how they're comboing there with the Kraken Impact to just immediately deny someone when they have the leap that comes out for Doom too. So just trying to keep this individual pressure onto Envy, and Envy just struggling a bit, right? They're not able to just isolate anyone, and ideally if you have window on the group, you really want to find an isolation here. You want to be split off points, split the LOS when you find one, but there just hasn't been a chance yet here for Envy. Now they are going to have the Invisible Boundary, so they're going to have some options here, but Invisible Boundary into the Meteor M, not necessarily a fair trade because that burst damage to go through, so Shroud X happy to just poke currently, just wait it out.
Here I'm online here for Shroud X. Try to shut down an approach onto the point. As once again, Doomed diving, looking for that isolation. Window will be sustained. Meteor M dropping down, looking for some splash damage, but ultimately not going to be rewarded with too much of anything. In the meantime, though, completely surrounded once more is Impunity, and does end up getting picked off. Not going to be joining them there in the grave, so 2 kills going to be found here for the side of Envy. As we'll see the Storm invested. And that is just going to be a nicely won fight here, and much needed for the side of Envy as they get the flip in their favor. But 60% just about on the board for Shroud X.
And the trade just didn't quite work out there for Shroud X. They were hoping like, okay, we get the leap from Doomed, isolate someone, then drop the Meteor in, knowing they're going to pop the Invisible Boundary from Nero. That happened word for word, just keep your key, that happened, but fortunately just didn't get the pick in return. And so since Envy had that late Omega Hurricane that comes up from Storm, they don't have any strategy tools, they have nothing to really deal with it for Shroud X. So just gonna hold on to this for the upcoming fight. Now Envy, 25% on the board, waiting for the re-entry here for Shroud X, and Shroud X just trying to find the opening pick.
Ult economy very healthy here at the moment for the side of Envy. Nearly about to have that 5th on line as Nero builds up towards it. A little bit further behind is Shroud X is okay. Looking for the yoink on the ult. That does end up going here. Doomed at the same time, leading the charge forward here onto the point, but Nook is going to be taken down. So once again, solid opening kill going to be found for the side of Envy as Wall trying to lock this Wolverine in position. Massive stun going to be coming through onto 3 players, and the cleanup off the back of that will end up being swift. Kaluj dumping that Meteor M, finding Impunity, and that's going to be Envy setting themselves now to take the lead.
And what a find, too, from Month there, because Month dropping the damage from all the doppelgangers from that left click, the primary fire for Loki, it does a lot. And it take down Nook after he had popped the God of Mischief, but he hadn't yet used the ult. So they lose that ult in that fight entirely. They don't have the heals, they don't have the sustain, and they can just wait
Drag out,
okay.
Doomed.
Doomed.
Able to find one. That's the first opening kill we've found here for Shroud X in a little while. So a solid one, but they're still working their way over towards the point. So Window just about to respawn, can join in as long as the rest of the team can hold the line and buy some time. A little bit of poke and prod here onto the Storm. And Speedly Nudge is going to be diving forward, opens up with the Tornado, and it's just right in on top of so many players. But Sustain will be found. Shroud X not allowing for this to lead to kills. Vision at the same time able to find him. Trades out the Storm. A little bit less DPS now to be concerned with. There's going to be the ultimate, but not finding the resets here. So ultimately, the Kraken not leading to much here for the side of Vision.
Right,
Bang, 99% forced out.
Play it. Seth, is so important there too that everyone stays up. The force physics so good, but Doom still gonna find one. Maybe Shroud X back in this fight.
He's getting that overshield coming through, finding the kill on the Window. So yeah, now with the 2 picks, still an opportunity to try to further extend this, and the flip is already in. So Shroud X in control. Envy, no other recourse but to have to back away. Surrender a bit of added percentage here for the side of Shroud X, and then look to try to regroup and get back in, but that's a massive stagger found. That being said though, Nook does get traded, but I don't think that there's going to be too much of a window here for Envy to get back in.
They do have a chance. I mean, they are going to put Speedly now onto the Iron Man here for a bit of the faster contest. The Storm, not quite as quick, though you do lose the aura. Not going to have that movement speed as Cal set up on the flank here. And Envy, they do have a bit of a chance to make it back in. They have to worry about the strategy results, but nothing big for Shroud X side. No last stand for Doomed. So Envy can poke it out here a little bit. They can wait. Not unless Window's going to get caught, though.
But yeah, I mean, talk about just both frontliners just getting kidnapped a little bit there, but it's still going to be Cal coming away with a kill. Stungman does get taken down, so backline going to be softened up a little bit here for the side of Shroud X. Now completely shattered. Envy on the return, coming out in a huge way. As Cal gets the pin, and Impunity will fall. The reflip into their favor. Only 3 players alive here for the for the side of Shroud X. Dongmin with a swap. Gonna be looking to try to set up the portal here to get the recontest. Has it. They dive out, but can they win the fight is going to be the question as they look for the 2-0. Multiple ultimates online here for the side of Envy. There's now that Iron Man ult as well online. Meteor M up and over the top. Impunity looking for a solid target. Dumps it right there on top of Window's head, but cannot find the elimination off the back of that. The beam coming through, as that will be the cleanup. And we go to a final round here on Hell's Heaven.
And Envy, what an incredibly good recontest, because the split there was not good for Envy, because there was not only did they have the hook that came out from Vision, and so like, okay, we immediately have to pop the invisible boundary to save Window, but also the leap comes out onto Kaluj, and so Kaluj has to use all of his resources to keep himself up, but they both survived. Both those front lines were so crucially called out there, and because of that, there wasn't a lot left in the bank early for Shroud X, and so Envy get the ults up. I like the Iron Man swap too, a bit more up in the air, a little bit harder to contest comparatively to the Storm, and sure, you lose some of the auras for like for the Thunder and for the and also for the Lightning, but I think overall like that was a really and the Tornado I should say, so really well played from Envy making those swaps. A little bit faster contest, a little bit more in the air, but gonna keep the Storm for now. They're really liking the value that Aura is providing, because Speedly, I mean, you look at the damage, Speedly is pumping a lot of damage, and you get a lot of damage boost in general when you're dropping the Goddess boost. So yeah. Envy holding on to the Strangling Prison, holding on to the God of Mischief. They had some options here in the bank for the crack and impact that Vision has. Shroud X, I mean, we're gone to a final round. It's been kind of back and forth so far. The team's looking pretty neck and neck.
Yeah, I mean, just the turn of events there, the scoreboard just showing kind of the parity between the two teams, just shows how one-sided of an affair both rounds have been thus far. But now we go into the final one here to decide who's going to be starting off this series with that 1-0 start. Once again, looking for a little bit of a kidnap. Window going to get pulled into the side, and this time he will not be allowed to escape. Oh, does get vested as well, trying to turn the tides of that fight. Doom's taken low, but otherwise everyone else on the side of Shroud X ends up being very healthy. So maybe a bit of an overcommit there from Window. And Shroud X once again look to try to get this opening cap. Vision ult now expiring. Get top back up as Cal, slicing and dicing, looking for the E-limb, trying to take down Dongmin, but can't quite make it happen. A little bit at risk himself, and as that bubble gets burst, Kalush cannot keep him protected. He'll fall to the wayside, and Fidel's going to be able to find that kill. Now all things are looking great for the side of Shroud X.
You say that until a little bit of weather. A little bit of weather comes through, and Vision, even with all the hooks, I think the Storm gets a lot of value. Now, it's not over yet, but I do think for Envy here, that Storm just turned the fight potentially.
And it does certainly give them a window back into this contest, especially this line there of Impunity ends up getting sliced and diced. So Cal does manage to go ahead and continue to keep this point from going over, but okay, rather they stop it from getting advanced further. So 23% built up here for the side of Shroud X, and V now on board.
And what a good Storm ult there again, the Omega Hurricane from Speedily, and just getting so much value in general from the Storm, where they're trying to play out the LOS, they're trying to keep just some of that Vision blocked, and also keep the pressure on Vision to make sure they're not able to shoot Speedily out of the sky here, even with the incredible Bionic hooks that are occurring. Is Cal on the flank, looking to maybe set it up, but probably just wanted to set this last stand here in the choke, but both the Wolverines looking to contest each other here a bit, and the leap missed, so no one connecting just yet.
Looking for that neutral opener here as Point now shifting around once again, looking for the isolation on a Kalush, but he's going to take to the skies. The Meteor comes through, immediately doomed. Pulling back, keeping himself protected, looking for a different angle. 6% away from having the ult online. Stun onto Impunity. As Envy looks to try to break down that front line. Doom now going in with the ultimate. Two players forced into the back line as Cal going to be taken down off screen. Fidel coming away with that one. Doom now just frantically trying to survive. Goes down so very low. As Nook will get traded, but trade up is there for the Shroud X, for the side of Shroud X, as they look to try to go ahead and get the slip back into their favor. Pull not going to be connecting. Meteor drop down, a bit of splash, but no kills going to be found for now. Envy still maintaining control of this point with Kalush falling. Does make that a little bit more difficult as the resets are being sought. Just have to break down this kill here onto Window, but Sustain's going to be found once again. The Tornado going in, looking for a little bit more impact. That's going to be Vision traded out. Envy maintaining control. Impunity able to find one back, but Shroud X still very much on the back foot as Envy are getting closer and closer to 99%. Hero, the ult at the ready. Dongmin going to be taken down. Envy maintaining control as they look to get themselves a 2-1 victory. Window going to be juggled into the front, but once again the bubbles coming through from Kalush keep him alive and well. Doom's maybe grabbing a bit more than he wanted, a bit more than he could chew. Has to once again make a swift exit.
Doom, the last stand gets used. There's not much in the bank here for Shroud X. Shroud X just trying to keep this fight going long enough to maybe get a God of Mischief. Really good 4-6-2, denying the leap. Month just been on top of this. Month and Nero both been so good with this. And with the invisible boundary, I just think this is probably going to do it. They're going to burn through these ults here, and Envy's going to take it.
Everybody locked in position, and yep, there you go. That is going to be the wipe. Doom just now respawning. No hope in hell's heaven to try to get the touch, as that was a really good start from the side of Shroud X. Looks like maybe they were going to run away with the map, but Envy with back-to-back 2 rounds will take it.
And I really have to respect Shroud X. Their backline in particular were doing a really good job of trying to deny the value there for Cal on the Wolverine. They were saving the cooldowns. They were saving the leap for the Invisible Woman. They were just making sure to just constantly look to deny that. Even setting up just for microplays like, okay, we're going to hook window, put him in, remove the bubble, then immediately crack an impact. I think everything that Shroud X was doing there, I liked. It's just Envy played this so well. And the storm value they got was just so good because they made sure once all the ults got traded, the cooldowns got traded, we're going to pop in here with the Mega Hurricane, clean up the backline, clean up vision. And I think also, again, when you look at the matchup for Window, even though they were getting hooked a lot, they were getting pressured a lot, it's just kind of that power of Groot, even into the Wolverine. It's really hard to remove Groot from the battle. You need a lot of pressure on the Groot. And if you don't have a Groot of your own, you're not having the ability to break the LOS of your strategist, to break the LOS from the rest of your team. And so it's kind of a hard matchup. So Shroud X just not able to remove Window, to remove speedily, and deny that value. And Envy just showing again why they're looking right now as like the upcoming team, the team that's going to be really vying for like a #1 spot in North America.
It took a little bit to try to find the groove a little bit there, but in the end, Envy, finding their footing and just really running away with it.
Yeah, they really just look like they are on absolute fire with the way that they were playing that one. And you know, I just really, it was great. You know, as we were talking about the Wolverine play, and now it's like, oh yeah, trust me. When I started watching Rivals consistently, and then you see just how aggressive Wolverine's wild. Anyone who played Marvel vs. Capcom knows exactly what I'm talking about. Wolverine, Mr. Noblock, this dude's all up in your business. Suck to play with, but you know, in this game though, an absolute menace because he can create so much carnage. He goes right after that Groot. I mean, you were seeing the way that they were putting Doomed in those positions. He was just waiting it out, saving things. They would have to put the effort to have to stop him. And then there was just so much more that they would have to worry about. It does make you wonder, you know, like you obviously saw them, you know, with the Winter Soldier. Maybe you might need something a little bit more direct to deal with the Storm Avast. I don't know. But yeah, overall, man, Envy just showing that they have very... Well, I would say just picking up right where they left off from the Shroud tournament, where they were just looking so good.
I think that's kind of the problem here, too. But with Envy, when they're playing Flyers, what's the best Flyer counter typically? Either banning them or playing Hela. And you do not want to go Hela for Hela, ban for ban with Envy, just because Cal on Hela is really, really good. One of the best Hela players in the world for sure, and definitely one of the best in North America. And I do think that that's kind of the problem here for Shroud X, is that they can play Hela. They're really good on Hela. It's just you didn't have to want to play that, then okay, Cal's gonna go play Hela Envy, right? And I do think that's kind of the problem there a bit of playing Envy a bit. And the current, I think, conundrum with Flyers is that the best person to deal with Flyers typically is gonna be the Hela. And if you have a really good Hela player, then you're just like, okay, well screw it, we're gonna play some Hela too. Why not? Like, let's get to it. Let's light this candle.
Yeah, well, I mean, Achilleos, you've been...
something out there for my boy Punisher, perhaps, to deal with Flyers. Maybe we can get some Punisher.
Maybe next patch. Maybe next patch. I don't know about this patch.
But everyone kept saying, GB, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I was specifically, Avast told me I was a stupid idiot to my face. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it.
Exactly
sounds like,
you
know,
yeah,
that's exactly what he did. But yeah, I would like to see that, you know, some more like hit scan DPS to deal with that. But no, like, you know, there like Hela really is that counter to that. And then to your point, then you're kind of baiting Cal into it, and then Cal's like, yeah, sure, I'll just run up there and just, you know, throw some of my Hela spikes, you know, like it's no business. So yeah, it's a rough one for sure. Now, Achilleo, so, you know, having seen what you see now, I know you were saying like it's been a bit for you. Anything that you're seeing that's like standing out to you, like, oh wow, the meta shifted in this direction, or something to that effect?
I mean, it's been I'd say a big shift compared to what several weeks ago. The last time we got into the show. There wasn't much Storm coming through. I mean, over in EU, there was a lot of Hulk play, which I didn't get to see much of at all. So I'd say, yeah, it's been a pretty big shift, but a shift that I like, because it felt like when I was casting, the Wolverine was something that was kind of present, but no one could really execute on. And it seems like both teams here are very willing to play it. But it feels like because of that issue with Envy being able to really utilize these Flyers, you don't have the comp that Shroud X is trying to run doesn't have a solid pick target, so they have to basically constantly default to that front line, and unless they can get the kill, then it all kind of falls apart when they go for the execute.
Yeah, and the protects have been really good. The heals have been really good on Envy side, so it's like, you know, there's so much you have to get through. And then in order for you to succeed, yeah, it's a tough one for sure. Hall of Djalia is going to be map 2 here, so, you know, we're going to get some good old-fashioned payload across the map. We'll see, of course, what the decisions are going to be, but I mean, Vass, I don't really see the meta picks are going to be the prioritization early on. Do you think we'll ever see Human Torch again?
That depends on the team. I'm going to say, like, I feel like since we're in this holding pattern, especially with the new patch being announced, like, and it's going to be coming up with some of the changes, maybe everyone's like, you know what? Let's just get rid of this guy. He's moving like Prime Bond. Like, we got to remove Human Torch. Just like take him out. Like, we don't want to deal with it. But some teams still do really like to play the torch. But also, if you think about it, as we head into the well, there it is. It's gone. It's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
No point even talking about it.
Nothing else can be said.
And the answer is we might not see Human Torch. We might not.
Also, did want to give a shout out to Shroud X because they're filling in. Sentinels were supposed to play. We had a sub out, so Shroud X coming in. Not a lot of warm up time. So again, just want to really give those dudes their flowers because they're stepping in a moment for RFN. But they are down in the series 1-0 here, and they're stepping into this new Ignite ban system. Which again, to explain it to everyone, you are banning what your opponent can use. It is not global bans, which is why you're seeing dueling Human Torch bans, because you're banning it for your team, and then you protect for yourself, so as you're seeing it play out here. Nothing really all that crazy right now at Kilios.
It's a little bit of a repeat of what we were saying, but I was going to say it's Groot for me, not for thee, is basically the way to think about
and
it.
And Frost for me, not for thee. You know, on the other
unless
side,
you see the bans on both sides, in which case, obviously, then no one can use it. So those are the circumstances, but it's okay. There's a little bit of a change up here as... That's an IFS ban?
That would be a Hulk bean band. I think I see Hulk bean band.
I'm sorry.
That's Mr. Banner. That's Mr. Bruce Banner. That's Mr. Bruce Banner that is being banned there. And I do think for that, it's Envy trying to remove, like, likely to team up with the Moore. They don't want to deal with that. Moore is pretty strong on Djalia. Also, additionally, just not deal with Hulk in general, who can be pretty strong, especially if you potentially don't even want to run an Iron Man, though obviously we didn't see Shroud X playing that. But for them, their bans and their picks, most of the same. It kind of depends on what they want to protect here, but okay, they're going to protect the Luna Snow. So that's pretty interesting because that means to me that they do want to play flyers. They want to have the Snowflake where they want to put down a flyer, have them roam around the map, or even just be a hard flanker, which potentially that's why they're removing the banner, right? We're removing Bruce Banner so they can't have like the Iron Man, they can't have the Namor that can be really strong on the flanks potentially with like a Snowflake. So pretty interesting ideas.
So global Human Torch and then a global Adam Warlock here to round it out.
Yeah, no one wants to deal with triple res. Everyone's like, we're not watching 20 minutes fights. We're taking Adam Warlock off the field here. We're done with it. We're not going back. We've defeated the Cyclo Samsara. We're not going back to whatever Marvel.
No 20-minute fights, no 20-minute bans.
Yeah, we're not going to deal with that.
Exactly. Oh man. All right. Well, let's get ready for this one. It is, of course, Shroud X's pick, Hall of Djalia, for your second map here in the Challengers portion of NA Rivals Fight Night. If you're just joining us, Envy looking pretty good here, starting things off. It was a competitive one, though, without a doubt. Some great plays coming out of the Storm, coming out of the Wolverine for Hells. For Hells, you hear me? For Envy. I was reading the thing at the bottom like I'm Anchorman. But of course, still plenty more left to play here, as Shroud X are going to do their absolute best to try and get that one on the board. Get back into this series, fellas. I'll leave this over to you. Hawkeye's out, no shot.
I don't think that's going to be
temptation. The temptation to say the sign-off line there to GB from Anchorman, strong, but not that kind of broadcast.
You're San Diego.
Well, anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. As GB pointed out, Hawkeye. We're just going through. They're like, okay, what has Achilleos not really seen in a Rivals fight? Let's just play.
We haven't seen Hawkeye in a while.
Hawkeye is getting some buffs in the next patch. I wasn't expecting this. I thought Cal maybe going to swap, but no, they're saying it. And then to be fair, did recently receive some buffs in the most recent patches too, for season 2. So I mean, I do think that this is he's a lot better, right? He's doing a lot of burst damage. You got some ult buffs, so it is kind of just this burst damage hero here where you're hoping you can keep your distance, just pump out damage in general, far away from everyone else. And to be fair, first point Hall of Djalia and just the rest of Hall of Djalia, pretty long sight lines you can work with. So you're seeing that's what they're kind of doing.
Yeah, I was curious if Envy was going to make a pivot from the Storm as well, because it is a little bit more open compared to Hell's Heaven, so less pillars and terrain to try to hide behind, but still sticking through with it. Meanwhile, looking for a little bit of that backline access here. Going to be noted as Vision is able to find one, opening up a kill there with that Psylocke, as 2 players now going to be taken down as Nero joins him in the grave. Nook does get traded. Cal able to find the 1, but Vision comes up with a 2nd kill overall, and that is a massive breakthrough here on the opening push. Looks like Shroud X, just 1 fight, and then the full cap coming through.
And I think this is kind of the problem too, where I wonder if Cal's going to stay on this or maybe even go. It looks like they might even, okay, they are going to continue to stay. Kind of the issue when you're playing to this Psylocke composition, especially with Emma Frost right now, where you have the clones that you get, so you can just like pump a lot of extra damage and get some extra survivability, is there's a lot of pressure being put onto the Envy Duelist squad right now, right? Because you don't have any like strong anti-dive, like strong anti-duelist picks right now. So the duelists here for Envy are going to have to really work to make sure that they're trying to deny the Psylocke value, because there's so much damage being pumped up from Vision.
Just diving into the back line, same time, Spittily just utilizing that tornado to try to create some space here. That splits the fight here on 2 different fronts, and oh, Vision immediately shut down. What a kill from Cal. As soon as he tries to go in with that, ends up falling to the wayside. Meteor though, from Impunity, able to find one, but Cal coming away with a 2nd pick. Does get rid of the enemy in the snow, so a little bit of value going to be sought here from the side of the Hawkeye, but still a messy back and forth thus far. As Impunity roughly just trying to backpedal a little bit here and stay alive. Nook tagged up Doom. Similarly, does manage to find the isolation pick though onto Window, so Cart can continue to advance.
Shroud X just keeping this pressure on, making sure to constantly keep Speedily and Cal split, try to force those resources between the 2 of them. They're going to have the last stand here, so Month going to likely hold on to the God of Mischief, and that's where Doomed needs, they want to force it here so they can use the last stand to take them out of that invisible boundary that's going to occur. Envy, maybe they want to go first, but it's actually going to be Shroud X going really aggressive here, trying to force out something here from Envy, but instead, Doomed not finding much.
Finding much, I mean, just diving forward, not looking for an isolation, just looking to try to close the gap here, get on top of some of these targets, so he can try to utilize his damage. With a swap. Flyer for Flyer will just move over onto the Iron Man, immediately comes back in, is able to find 1, Impunity going to be taken out as well, so multiple kills here onto the members of Shroud X will finally give Envy a little bit of breathing room.
And they did end up trading out those ults, but I mean, Doomed hoping to maybe find them before they could pop it, but unfortunately just wasn't going to happen. Region of Domain was available. So now Envy holding strong here. The Iron Man swap, another good swap, I think, into this. Now, Psylocke, one of the counters were a pretty decent fight into the Flyers here. Not bad, but Iron Man a little bit easier to fight, or a little bit harder to pin down, I would say, compared to maybe like Storm. You see Doom in the backline, trying to find one again, immediately taken down. Taking a little bit of a bigger bite than they can chew, I'd say. And really good peel there for Envy.
Yeah, good peel, but also really just separated from the rest of the squad. There was Doomed out on a bit of an island. Fidel getting tagged up. Ult now going to be online. Can bring that 52 Worlds to try to go ahead and keep everybody alive once they can get the reapproach, but still looking to try to get clustered up and keep everybody alive. I mean, so much damage just raining down. Vision into the back. Going to be looking for a bit of an opener. Dashes through. Gets quite a bit of damage across, but cannot find that assassination. And instead, will just get traded out as Month comes away with the kill. Cal finding Doomed as well. And that is once again going to be Shroud X here on the back foot, looking for the reset.
And Envy playing this split really well currently. I'd love to see them swapped, honestly, and they look like they are. They're going to get a Star-Lord. Oh, no, they're not going Star-Lord. They're putting Doom now onto the Psylocke and put Vision into the dueling Iron Man. I think that's fine. I mean, it can apply a little bit more pressure. Maybe you don't have to commit to, like, a dive style. Cowl and Speedily both doing a really good job. I called out earlier where the duelist pressure here for Envy was going to be okay. They have to be hitting their shots. They need to make sure that they're not getting caught.
Could be double
both
dive.
doing a really good job.
So, Vision not going for the Flyer to try to match in the skies. Will just be that Iron Fist coming through, so looking to really just get on top of these squishy members on the side of Envy and pick them apart with this. But so far, Envy's been really good about peeling. They're about to have 6 ults online, full war chest for them. Shroud X close to 5, but Vision going to be playing catch up here. There is going to be the opening. Dongmin looking to try to get the ball rolling, get it back over onto the cart and try to advance this forward once again. Shot just going to be flying through. Cal looking for these picks. Stuck in position, looking for the limbs, and Speedily will just go ahead and drop the orb right there on their faces. Immediately, the shutdown comes through. 4 ultimates committed here for the side of Envy, but once again, they drain the clock down. Now it's going to be less than a minute remaining here for Shroud X, Avast.
Yeah, it was a really good use of the Strangler Prison too, where, I mean, they've even put Vision, they were trying to put him onto Iron Fist to maybe contest, now going to the Hela. So they're saying, okay, we need to remove the Flyers. We need to get Cal off the angles, put Vision onto the Hela, let's duel them. It's tried and true.
Captain America.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dive, right? We're gonna have dive. We're gonna be using this Captain America to just put a lot more pressure here, as Doom also just forces the region domain early. Is gonna stay alive, so it's a big cooldown out for Shroud X. They can move forward here, maybe look to set up with the God of Mischief, just a Dance of the Butterfly. But Doom getting pressured here in the back, but luckily, who is there? Captain America. Impunity's there with him.
Managed to find the 1 kill there as they dive in with a 2v1, but Cal at the same time finding a pick here over on the front. As a Meteor, I'm going to be dropped in, just a splash of damage. No further eliminations found here. Svedel keeps everybody else alive here for the moment. Month, though, with the duped ultimate, just leading the charge forward. Once again, just counteracting here against Shroud X, leading them away from the card. 6 seconds now remaining as Doomed is going to be taken down. Dongmin needing this Meteor M to be absolutely massive, which it is not. Might still lead to Kalush getting taken down, but they need so much more here on the back end of the fight. And Window is coming away with 2 as Svedel and Vision all fall to the wayside. Impunity desperately trying to stay alive. Gets the ultimate online, sends it immediately. A bit of sustain here found here. The shield's trying to keep him alive and in the mix. As you have 3 Vanguards from the side of Shroud X in desperation to try to keep this OT going. Portal is set up, but speedily with another ultimate breaks down the front line. The Captain America dead, and Vision not in a great position here with the ultimate. That should just be the OT bleeding down as Shroud X cannot maintain control of the car to push out of the portal. Immediate death through it, as that will be the hold in front of the second point.
And Envy just playing this so well. I mean, making the Hawkeye work here. Just putting the constant pressure on. And more importantly, I think it was the peel that was going out onto Month in particular, because you saw the Psylocke, whoever was playing it, whether it be Doomed, whether it be Vision, they were trying to constantly force out the region domain, maybe even get the initial pick with that burst damage with the combo onto Month, and they just couldn't. They couldn't find it. And so that whole time, Cal, relatively uncontested as we get onto second, speedily pretty uncontested because they were putting so much pressure there onto the strategist, and they just couldn't find them over and over and over again. The peel from the Envy backline, too good. And because they had that group, they have Window constantly anchoring the point, it's really hard to move up and support those dives unless you're in like a full dive composition there, right? I think that's where Shroud X definitely struggled a bit, and where they continue to just not find a lot of value. Maybe first is going to be a bit more their speed, but really good peel here for Envy, and a backline in particular that's resistant, I think, to going down very easily. It's something that Envy has been really good with the addition of Nero and Month, of just how strong their strategist line has been.
I give a shout out. I love Nero. Was always one of my favorite players in L, and love to see that he's looking very good at the moment here.
Were you expecting to see some Invisible Woman play Invisible Woman for Envy? Were you expecting that after he goes from the Overwatch League to here? Was this a expected move for you?
Maybe not quite, especially given his opening trajectory, but it was always I had found him to be one of the most talented Western players that we had at the time. But for now, Envy now on the attack. Formants that work with here at the start, needing to make it just in front of that second point. And if they're able to do so, they're going to find themselves at match point here in the series.
They're going for the long flank here up through the high ground. They're going to look to deny it for Shroud X, who's playing pretty safe back there. They are going to have the Star-Lord now and keep a Captain America here. So they're looking to just maybe dive onto the backline for Envy again, but now use the chokes, use this really large skybox here for both Impunity and Vision to just make sure you keep the pressure on. As you see, first initial dive coming on in, Impunity, Vision, Doomed, everyone's up there, but don't find anyone.
Piling in, look at just go ahead, displace Envy from that high ground. Does force them down here. Kind of swapping sides of the map here at the moment is what we're doing, but it's going to be speedily coming away with the kill as Doom does get taken down. Dongmin's shield raised, frantically backpedaling. Does manage to find some sustain. Tucks into the domain there and is able to go ahead and stay alive, but Cal now at the same time takes down Vision, takes down Nook, and it's all just crumbling here for Shroud X. This defense not holding water as the cleanup will come through. Find a little bit of beamage. We'll find Impunity and Doomed. Yeah, I mean, the portal's set up, but I'm not sure you want to go through there.
No, you definitely don't. I wonder if any of them have the gumption. Probably not. They're not going to chase through that one. And I do think that when you look at that comp, Shroud X immediately taking some swaps here. They're going to the Iron Man, getting into the Loki. You look at it and it's just like, okay, you really want to have these really effective fights where you're just like pressuring out Cal and Speedly or maybe even the backline, but it's really hard because they're all turning to peel. You didn't have just an effective burst on one target, and as soon as the dive's over, Envy's just going to explode on out, drop the walls from Window, and hopefully Cal gets a lot of picks, which is exactly what happened. There are going to be ults on board, though, come online for both these squads, and this is pretty much, we're entering close to last fight territory with 4.5 minutes in the bank because they did not get very far for Shroud X, so they have to hold here.
It's going to have to be a damn long hold at that. Still 4:25 here at the ready. 6 ultimates here for Envy, trying to get themselves over the line. Shroud X nearly there as well as Impunity tries to catch up, just get 16% behind. I'll just cut them off for a lit there for the moment. Good damage on the Doom, does stay alive. His ult's now starting to get invested. Meteor M going to be used here from the side of Dongmin. Slaps that one down, but no value going to be found. Once again, Envy continuing to push forward, continuing to find picks. Doom going to be eliminated. That Kraken ult not going to be coming through here. Not at least in this fight. Needs the rest of the team to buy some space and time. But with the ult, once with the dupe, able to go ahead and do just that. Everyone sustained. No further kills to be found here in the fight, so should have that full 6v6 reset coming in. The card inches forward ever closer to that last little stretch, to that finish line, to try to get that match point locked in.
And no strategy ults left here for Shroud X. Opening out, they're going to drop that Hawkeye ult here right down Cal. Though they immediately know they're keeping the contest, they're keeping the pressure on, but they have to make sure Cal does not get a lot of value, but all of Envy are moving forward, making the space.
It doesn't even matter if Cal finds the value. The fact is that it just does not get picked. Everything invested trying to get that execution onto the Hawkeye. It doesn't come through, and then the whole rest of the team falls to the wayside simultaneously. Dominance now on display here from the side of Envy as they just steamroll their way through.
And I think there for Envy is just continue to show that this team is so flexible. Their backline is just so strong. I mean, even in that trade, right, that last fight, Shroud X, Envy both pretty equivalent on the ult bank there. They just force out both the strategist ults. For Shroud X, they trade them knowing like, okay, we have a Hunter sight. We have an ult for Cal that's still at the end. And even if the Cal doesn't end up getting a lot of picks, right? The pressure from that ult is still going to require them to have to commit a lot of resources to Cal. Then we move on forward, take the space, get those picks. And the group just continue to pay dividends here. Where maybe Shroud X want to remove the group from Window potentially. I mean, Windows looks really good on it. Maybe that could be the option here as we head into map 3. But overall, just Envy showing that they continue to be a very, very flexible team and one that has so many threats to where Shroud X just struggling to find an answer to those threats, despite what I think is relatively solid fundamental play.
I think the problem that you're seeing at the moment here for Shroud X is just there's so many options. Like, yeah, you can go for Window, you can try to remove that group, but then there's, because of the flexibility that Envy has and has been putting on display, there's going to be something else that gets left open that they can utilize to really continue to try to take over these maps. I mean, it's like going to like a proper Thai restaurant and you look at that menu and you're like, Jesus Christ, there's 500 things. They're all delicious. And I only have $10 in my pocket. I can only buy 2 dishes. What do I do? Which one am I eating?
Posting?
And no matter what, you're missing out on a good meal.
You want Thai food, Seth?
You know, it was a little bit of a crave. Masters of Bangkok was a little while ago, and I'm like, you know what? I want to go back to that
I'm not gonna lie,
culinary sense.
Food was incredible. Oh yeah, but it was hot. My God, that was a hot one. Let me tell you, that one was that I will not want to go back for that. But you know what was hot? The gameplay I was seeing from Envy. That's right. They're up 2-0 in the series, and you know. I want to get the thoughts on Hawkeye. We haven't seen Hawkeye in a minute, but Vest, you know, Hawkeye came out and is it Cal? Is it Hawkeye? What do you think?
Mostly, I'm going to say it's mostly a Cal Envy thing. I will say that Hawkeye with the buffs is being a little bit more meta. Typically not the pick, just because he struggles a bit if you're especially in dealing with which is a more standard like group v group matchup, honestly, where his LOS is constantly getting broken. There's a lot more pressure. I do think also they didn't apply that proper amount of pressure where I think a lot of other duelist picks like for example like a Hela or even a Winter Soldier is able to just get out of those scenarios a bit better and have the ability to keep themselves alive with like bonus.
They were for a little while. There was a few of those fights in the beginning where you were seeing the Psylocke get into the back line,
but it's just hard because they're perfect play. Perfect play from the Envy backline. They had the region domains. The 4/6s are always like so perfect from Nero. So the dive just wasn't working. And I think that's where, to me, I look at the Hawkeye and I'm like, okay, if the perfect situation has occurred here, we have the perfect storm, not speedily on storm, but rather the perfect storm, just Hawkeye isn't receiving the pressure, then Hawkeye is a very good pick. I do think that's just more of an issue of just this matchup worked out really well for Envy. And maybe against another team, like if they play against Virtus Pro, I don't know if Hawkeye is coming out necessarily.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, well, Yggdrasil Path will be the battleground for map 3. Can Envy get a clean sweep, Achilleos? Because right now, even with the moments we're seeing from Shroud X, Envy look unstoppable.
Yeah, the thing for Shroud X is that the starts have been hot. You know, the start of the push there on Hall was looking very, very good. It's like, okay, they got a lot of momentum behind them. They have a really good time bank. They're pushing and they're not being slowed down. They get just in front of B, and then all of a sudden, boom! It just seems to click here for Envy. It seems like they're one of these teams that as soon as they get that download, they get that understanding of how Shroud X is trying to pilot, what they're trying to do. They get the perfect counteraction if necessary when it comes down to just the composition picks, but then also the play style. And I'm right there with Avast. I don't think that this is a Hawkeye thing. I think that this is maybe not even a Cal thing. I think it's an Envy thing, because the team play to keep him protected when those attempted backsteps came through was just gorgeous. And you know, but I also agree, you probably not going to do that against a team like Virtus Pro either, but they feel like they can get away with it here, and they absolutely are.
He could have also just ran Hella, right? I mean, I think like you get pretty much the same thing there and a little bit more mobility, but Cal just, you know, so good that he was able to pull that off, and just so much help in the front. So it goes to show, right? It really is the sum of all its parts in Marvel Rivals. You know, you can make it happen. Oh, what a freaking play, though. Damn, Doom trying their best to keep this one going. Look at this. That has to be the most annoying thing, by the way, to in any game with a bow character, when they just stand still and just look at you, because you know you're going to get shot in the face.
I think just snipers in general. Snipers in general, right? It's been a long debated, hotly debated thing of like, what do we do when we have snipers that are shooting you from very long distances, especially if they have a lot of mobility. And I mean, Marvel Rivals, they got a lot of that here. So I do think that overall, you get into map 3. It's why we saw Envy, I think, win the Shroud Gauntlet. It's why Envy's been so good recently, even outside of that, and the Rivals Fight Nights previously. This team is a force to be reckoned with. And so Shroud X, there's still a chance. I don't think it doesn't feel hopeless when I'm watching this. It just feels like maybe sometimes we're losing in the draft phase a bit. And remember, because they're getting kind of like shock acclimated to this draft phase after just coming off a different draft phase with the Shroud Gauntlet. So they're
also want to be clear, they're subbing in last second. Literally, they came in 5 minutes before the show, like we started NA. So, you know, for the viewers at home, I just want you guys to have that context and understanding, because Sentinels were supposed to play, but then they couldn't because of a technical issue, and then Shroud X came in, and I said it like 50 million times. So there you go. All right, we're in the draft, guys. Let's see what we get.
No Human Torch.
They're gone.
Goodbye.
Screw you, Johnny Storm, you bum.
They really don't want to deal with him. And they finally protect. Oh no, that's Envy. We swapped.
No, it's Envy. It's Envy.
Yeah, I thought that was Shroud X. Like, oh, they protected. Like they got in. I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Envy.
I say, and
I mean,
and this is the conundrum that you find when you have this like must ban character in the Human Torch. Shroud X doesn't want to take the risk of having the protect come through if they remove the Groot first, because they know, okay, that's going to happen, and now we have to try to somehow deal with the Human Torch. So they're in such a rough position not being able to get that out. And then from there, you know, I think Avast hit the nail on the head. It does feel like they're just kind of losing in the draft.
It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. And also I feel like for reasons both these teams are also getting a Human Torch, it's not just because they don't want to play it. I do think some of this is just practice as we move forward to the next patch, because they're changing up how the Fantastic Four team-ups work, which obviously make like Invisible Woman very strong. Obviously also like Human Torch and those team-ups there. They're, I think, also nerfing Human Torch just in general. So overall, like, this is potentially just this practice where teams are going to start like not playing Human Torch a bit as we head into patch 2.5. So that's why there's like, screw it, let's ban it. Though I would argue like, okay, well, maybe we just, if we're both not going to play it, then maybe just don't waste the ban on it. But, you know, a little, maybe a gentleman's agreement if you're from the CDL. Bit of a gentleman's agreement there, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Oh, God. Yeah. Well, I'll say that those words to me. Jeez.
Protect on the Wolverine here for Shroud X. So still wanting to try to get Doomed onto the pick. Adam Morlock banned away. Final Protect. I mean, I don't know. They could just, I mean, the Luna Snow look good for them. They could just go for that as, again, if they really wanted to.
If they want to play Flyers, Luna Snow is another like great protect. So it's actually gonna be Invisible Woman. Okay.
Invisible Woman. Okay.
Interesting. I wonder if they were worried that, I mean, Shroud X, since they had banned Loki, maybe they're thinking like, well, they're trying to target some of the more meta strategist picks this time, because they're like, we don't deal with their Loki anymore. Instead, they're just gonna get rid of the Adam Warlock, which, okay, fine. Denies triple res. So maybe they were like worried that if they get rid of Invisible Woman, obviously Invisible Woman, I think by far the most meta strategist besides Loki. Enables a lot of comps, enables Flyers too with the Guardian Shield and Flankers. So pretty reasonable protect. I think Shroud X doing a little bit better here by, I think, pressuring some of the strategist picks. They can't play low-key, and they have to be protecting Invisible Woman. But still, I wouldn't say the ideal draft for Shroud X.
Draft definitely gets a little different when you don't put Luna Snow into the fray, right? Because we've been seeing so many Luna Snow bans, but now like these teams are kind of just like letting it through. So we'll see.
Definitely.
I mean, this needs to be the difference maker here.
It does. It definitely does. I think this is it's lose this map or win this map or series over, right? And Indy's gonna advance, so his back's against the wall for Shroud X.
Please, Cal. Please. I was just about to make the joke that they've been cycling through all of these like kind of off meta picks, some off kilter things, very niche stuff. Bring her out. Show me the Black Widow. And
it's fine on the attack. Because you can switch it out.
Oh, dude, like I like in my climbing, I main her, I main Punisher. I want to see both.
Also,
and right now, it looks like he's sticking with it. I'm hyped.
Yeah, definitely.
That is don't you go back in there.
Liability. Oh, they just tried to go for the one pick. They tried to go for the hey, but it's a Hawkeye. It's a Hawkeye, so they're still gonna just keep with a long sight line, but instead get off the Black Widow and go back to Mr. Hawkeye there. So okay, fair enough. I mean, the idea is still roughly the same. They just wanted to have a little bit of surprise moment as Envy trying around the corner.
All right, seeing how it does fare. Back over the Winter Soldier and this Wolverine that started off the series very strongly for the side of Shroud X. So a little bit more on the back foot. Kalush does get taken down though for a nice little early pick, dragged forward. As there's the hook, and Cal does get eliminated with Fidel able to go ahead and collect the kill. So once again, a solid beginning for the side of Shroud X, not allowing for that quick momentum build-up that Envy had on the last map.
And Vision has been on it today in terms of just landing the hook. So, I mean, even Doomed as well with the leaps. Like, both of these duelists played in Shroud X have been consistently landing those cooldowns. As they're going to see Doom, going to force him back on up here a bit. Just keeping some of the residual healing here from the Idol Aura, though. And Envy just making sure that there's no free positioning currently for Doom. They're going to just try to keep him off the off angles as now Mega Hurricane invested.
Okay. Just jumping forward, whittling away at these HP bars. Takes a couple players low, but ultimately it's just going to be nooked there with the dupe. Mischief managed. We'll go ahead and keep everybody sustained.
Holy Harry Potter reference. I can't believe he dropped it. It's very millennial core.
Yeah, well, people say I look like him from time to time, so I guess it's in the blood. A window now going to be going through forward. Prison invested, but still nothing really found here for the side of Envy. Grasping at straws, trying to find some eliminations. Maybe the Meteor M, but ends up sending it in a little bit too deep. Minor amount of splash going to be found, but ultimately kills not going in their favor quite just yet. Cart control still going to be maintained here for the side of Shroud X as we dip in underneath 2 minutes remaining as there is a dive forward. Looking for the pick here on to Cal, but stays alive. Doom does nearly get traded out, but in the end, we'll get topped back up. First point now at risk of being capped. Shroud X, can they reflood back forward? Kalush says no. Impunity falling. Should just go ahead and lead to this cap. As they do push forward, they're looking to try to keep this contested, but ultimately it's going to be a little bit of an overextension and a needed reset as Envy managed to get the time bank bump up.
And see, I actually think Shroud X played that really well. Like, they were trading the ults. Envy was forced to just hold on to the invisible boundary to just wait for Doomed to commit. The problem is they just backed up, lost all their space, post the hunter site, and were stuck into that long corridor where all that damage is constantly being pumped into you, and they just couldn't get back out. They had to deal with the Groot walls, too, that split the LOS. So Shroud X just couldn't recontest, even though they had some good ults there for the recontest. Now they're going to be forced on a second. Looking to hold, and Envy just playing very aggressively with Speedly, trying to get a little bit of early poke. As Doom taking a lot of very early damage, not going to go down just yet.
Man, I felt like it was another one of those all-ins that Envy was able to shrug off. They get the dive forward, trying to get the pick on a Cal. They overextend a little bit because the kill doesn't come through. In the meantime, though, it's just going to be Envy. Shoves back around the corner once again. There's Nook with the copy, just able to go ahead and get those HP bars fully sustained. That being some of the back end. Impunity immediately did take quite a bit of damage. Meteor End going to be coming through here from Kalush. Elimination's not found quite just yet. Hawkeye ult at the ready, going to be sent. Impunity looking for a pick to try to shut down this push. Echoes are out. Cal looking to play off the back of those. As Vision, down to about half HP, kicks back around the corner. It's going to be some space opened up now here for Envy, regaining control of the card. Starting to inch forward here once again, but nearly half of the second time bank drained away here by Shroud X. Still looking to maintain a foothold and stop the push into B.
Good pressure there onto Cal, and more importantly here for Shroud X. No strategy ults up for Envy. They've traded really effectively. Doom gonna have the last stand. They're close to got a mischief, so I mean, overall, this is their chance. They just need to survive as a Mega Hurricane. A lot of pressure on the Duck very, very early. Has the regional main, but Fidel already down, and I think that's just gonna end it.
Yeah, that should just be the breakthrough here. Impunity trying to stay alive, doing their damnedest to sustain, but Nook, it's just not gonna be enough throughput there. That's so special. So in the end, we'll just go ahead and get taken out. So decent time buying, but still 2 minutes as Envy will crest their way forward here into the second point. Well, once again, a minute and a half now added in as they look to try to complete the path.
And I think there's just a problem with playing against Envy right now is that Shroud X, they traded the ults really well. They're like, okay, there's no strategy ults. We're going to have a last stand for Doom. Things are looking up. Well, guess what? Speed of that time still with a secondary ult, using this Omega Hurricane as a way to just constantly pressure the backline here after they do these big trades and these big team fights. It's Cal just peeking here from the window. Trying to just remove some of the doppelgangers and just keep that presence known. Maybe they can find just a little bit of a headshot. Not going to cop on the leap though.
And Doom going to be forced away as that katana swing comes through. Ult is out. Needing to find some targets here, but Vision does manage to find Cal. So in the end, the Hawkeye does get eliminated. Meteor M drawn out as well here from Kalush, which doesn't find too much purchase. Big window of opportunity now for Shroud X to try to push their way back forward, maintain control here on the corner. Wait for some further limbs to come through as Month opens up with the ultimate, and that means that there's not going to be too much value found here off the back of Impunity's ult, rather. As Fidel looking to give them immunity. Goes ahead, sends out that Fit of Both Worlds, so kill's not going to be sought here on either side for the moment. As Nero looks to try to obfuscate, and here comes the Hurricane once again, jumping forward, looking to try to tear them asunder, but it's going to be Window who ends up on the wayside as Doom finds the kill. Vision gets Cal, Kalush dead, 3 picks here. Shroud X now in a very good position to stop this full push.
And finally, perfect trades there for Shroud X. Sure, the opening fight, last stand, and the beginning of the fight was not amazing, but they were able to back up. They didn't have to commit anything for the Strangling Prison for Window either. It just mostly caught those Vanguards who had the cooldowns available. And now Shroud X gonna fight for this corner. They have Doomed waiting, looking, searching, gonna find one.
Drags him in, finds the pick, Doomed. Reliable as ever. It's the instant reset there. That takes the clock down below a minute and a half. Has his ult at the ready. A little bit of an off position, does get noted, so to try to regain this space, but in the end, doesn't really get picked off, so we'll stay alive for the moment.
And honestly, I think having this big, without a better record, this big ass hat here for Doom does not do him favors because Cal is constantly looking for just to pressure him off the off angles, looking to just make sure that he doesn't have any health when he goes to the initial engage. But this time, not gonna get caught, gonna get the bubble instead and just commit.
Just commits forward, and it's more than enough damage here for them. Window picked apart. Month a little bit late with the ultimate, sends it now to try to keep the rest of the players alive because they know that they're in the final throes of this push. 55 seconds now remaining. Cal does get traded out. It's a little bit of a trade up here for the side of Envy, but cart control still not in their hands. As Fidel similarly had to that ult ready to go. Keeps them in with it. Push forward here to the forward corner. And once again drawn out from Spittily, just looking to try to find some eliminations, but then Nook has the dupe once again. Gets the copy. Luna Snow ult comes through, keeps them all protected. Dive in there. Doom's looking to try to get the isolation. Kalush gets finished off. As things are looking damn good here for the side of Shroud X. Deny this push coming in. Window picked apart. Only Doom's dead right at the moment. Still ult's behind. Now committed. Dongmin rushing forward, looking for some additional staggers to really seal the deal. 12 seconds now remaining. Cal, his ult online, but he is not. Gets taken down. Portal going to be coming through, desperately trying to get the touch here is Kalush. Force out the OT as the clock now strikes 0. But he does manage to pile out. Ultless at the moment here, Shroud X. Vision finds the pick. Kalush going to be taken down. Envy dumping what they have to try to turn the tides here of the fight. Cal needing some picks and speedily delivering with that Hurricane. Does manage to find two. A bit of an opener now, but still some significant distance to try to cover.
Oh, Speedily just did so much there. Another really good portal tech there from Kalush to make sure to just block it out on the other side where you're just using it almost as a one-way shield. You can play it, you can cop it out, get the contest. And Speedily, because they didn't find Speedily early, they had to pop it earlier in the fight. Speedily builds another Omega Hurricane, and they didn't have any strategy results. And now Shroud X in a situation where they have to contest here in the OT, popping the Fate of Both Worlds just to go for the, they got a mischief for the copy, just get back here and get the touch.
They do still have significant ultimates behind to try to reinforce this and guarantee the hold. Purity up and over the top, falling low, just managed to find window. Takes him down with the Meteor M. HP bars at the moment looking steady on the side of Shroud X. As Nook does get sustained back up. Now the Kraken going to be dropping down. Look at the resets here is Vision. Going to hold them at bay. Nero sends it out, obfuscating as Cal is able to collect one. Nook going to be taken down. Vision at half, dead. Fiddly managing to find it. Yet another Hurricane is just tearing them apart. 3 more kills going to be found, and that's going to be Envy making it to the end of the map in OT. Shroud X looking for that denial. They cannot, but at the very least, they make it cost all of the time bank here.
The problem is over and over and over again, they trade out the ult and speedily just gives them the South Florida treatment. Every time a Hurricane comes on in, late fight, they have no strategist ults. I mean,
no
you can't get the home insurance. Yeah, can't get the home insurance. Like, it's cooked. It's just cooked. They can't pressure out Speedly fast enough. They're not able to remove him, to get him off the field, to get a pick, so they don't have to worry about the ult.
And then the crocodiles.
And then the crocodiles, and then on top of that, there's the snakes and the humidity. I mean, it's just over and over again.
And the people.
Okay, now we're gonna do. I didn't say that.
Most terrifying of all.
Listen, I lived near Miami for 3 years, so I was a South Florida resident. But I will say overall that this is the issue for these squads right now, is that Speedily is the issue. Just getting so much value in general from the auras, and also more importantly, once those ults get leapfrogged, right? We're forcing strategy ult, and that's what Envy's doing so well, is that they're keeping Speedily up, and they're getting these strategy ults and these other ults out of Shroud, so the Omega Hurricane come in and just finish off the fight over and over and over again. So they need to have something happen. Maybe they can build some sort of, maybe we could shoot the Hurricane. Technically, you can, despite what others have said in the past, which were not true. You can shoot this Hurricane. This Hurricane can be shot. You can actually remove Storm from the field, and because it isn't invincibility, it's just you get that extra bonus health. But they're just popping it late in the fight, and Envy's just really good at following up, so Speedly's not going down.
Well, now onto the defense here. As Envy looking to try to hold the line solid on the previous map. Gave up the first point pretty quickly, though. They're going to look to rectify that here on path of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil path, rather.
Right now, this
is a decent poke and prod.
A lot of poke and prod, honestly. And I think this is here, once the problems were just Shroud X, is that the longer the poke and prod phase goes on, the worse it is for them, because it just gives Speedily more time to build ult, more chance for maybe Cal to get a pick. So Shroud X, they need to make something happen, and that is not what they want to happen. That's not the one they want.
Not. Yeah, Dongmin getting taken down, of all people. That's going to be a little bit catastrophic when it comes down to trying to get a push going and building momentum. Cal finds himself a second as Fidel will fall, and that is just going to be a full retreat sounded for Shroud X, as it looks like a couple players will be able to make their way out, keep themselves alive. Nook not getting staggered, but already over a minute going to be bought here for Envy on the defense.
Yeah, now Envy, they're going to have the deadly ult cycle here, because Shroud X is going to look to try to remove some ults early, potentially from Envy, hope that they don't have to deal with the Speedily backline race to the Omega Hurricane. And that's just the hard part, right? Of, okay, we don't want to lose any picks as we come forward, and we also need to trade ults really effectively to make sure that Speedily just doesn't get to drop a free Hurricane on us again and again and again. So they round to the corner, they're going to pop the God of Mischief, trying to find one, isn't going to find anyone with the Pharaoh Leaf there. Doom.
Speaking of again and again and again, that's maybe what Shroud X is going to be leaning on a little bit here. His Vision does have that ult at the ready, but here comes the tornado diving in. HP bars not getting it taken down there. Are able to sustain, but as soon as that is gone, Cal just weaves in an arrow, finding Nook, and Dongmin will get picked off as well. Once again, the commitment comes in, but it's just swatted away here by Envy with a massive 5-ult investment, and Cal, yeah, shoot the echoes, get the kills.
And this is just right now the issue that Shroud X to run into, is that they just can't isolate anyone. They're not able to just like force anything out of Envy, so they have kind of the time to just wait, trade it out. That time even Speedily drops the Omega Hurricane to force out Strategist ult so they can Cal pop it later because of the long sight lines. And look, Speedily at 60% to another Hurricane, 70. I mean, you just get so much damage here from that aura of Thunder, because you're just constantly just getting the damage boost. It's happening with the Goddess boost. So overall, just really tough here for Shroud X to just round the corner. Hope still happening here. And I think the problem right now for Shroud X is that they're just waiting to build a couple more ults, and the issue is Vision already down. They have the Strangling Prison, there's the Hurricane. I mean, that's another fight.
It is just brutality. Locked in position, no way to escape. Just Hit him with the wombo combos, and now looking for the full hold. 55 seconds remaining here on the attack for Shroud X. 3 ults built up at the moment. Nook nearly there. A lot of mischief, but it just feels like Envy has every correct answer, every correct read.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the last fight here. 30 seconds, Shroud X, 3 ults, about to be 5 on the board here. So they have some options. They're going to drop this Onyx section, hopefully try to find one. Not going to find any. Dongman just going down. I mean, I think that should, oh my lord.
Okay, yep, that should just about do it. 20 seconds remaining, still an opportunity for one reset, but now the staggers come in. Cal is just an absolute menace. He is immovable, he is indomitable, and he is, I think, maybe even deathless at this point, at least in this half of play. Good God, what a display put on. 3 seconds, looking for the touch, the swap. Looking for the portal, but it cannot be found in time. That is a full hold. Absolute perfection as Envy get themselves a 3-0 and now move forward into the money match.
Wow.
And Envy, I mean, they look fantastic. GB, I mean, I don't know if there's any team that, in your eyes, I think they're looking as hot as them currently in North America, but right now they're looking like the hotness.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, we saw like some hiccups in the road for this Envy team, but I think the more reps that this squad gets together, the better they become. And really, one of the things that I wanted to point out here, and obviously that sounds like very John Madden of me, but you know, it does make sense. It's like these guys, they're just only going to continue to get better the more they get these reps in. But something that I really do think was just awesome to watch was straight up just how the hell they played with that Storm and how much utility, how much they were forcing out of the hands of their opponents. Because the thing is, Storm pops the ult. And you know, like, it's not like you're not destroying everyone, but if you don't do anything about it, you could get destroyed. So you see all these like abilities, like the regenerative fields from the Lokis or whatever was out at that time to like try and give you some coverage. You got to pop it. You have no other choice. And then once that's cooled down, here comes Cal. And then while that's going on, Storm's probably got like 48% progress on ultimate again. It's vast. It's a really oppressive composition that I didn't expect. It's kind of cool.
And I think also part of it is just how the bans worked out. Maybe like just because both teams like prioritizing, like, we have to remove this hero like right off the bat. If the team maybe felt more confident, they could put more pressure onto that ban phase later. And additionally, I mean, it is just, I think I have to give a little bit of leeway, like we said, to Shroud X here coming in, because yes, that comp was really strong, but they came in last minute. Maybe we're prepped to show up for a match day after having a very long match weekend. Yeah, 5 minutes. 5 minutes before. Literally. So I am going to give a shout out to Shroud X for not only being like goats for showing up last minute and just like, oh yeah, we're going to come play when Sintos unfortunately was not able to, but also being really willing to come in and likely not have a ton of warm-up. So I feel like maybe a warmed up Shroud X could have been slightly different overall. I think this matchup, but definitely the composition for Envy was really strong. Speedily has been on Storm a lot, been on Flyers a lot, and looked really good on it.
Yeah, once again, want to give a massive thank you to Shroud X. Last second coming in 5 minutes before we went live to play in this with a new format as well because of the Ignite format. So really, we're kind of just going on the fly. And I'm sure they're scrimming and they're practicing and they're getting ready for MRC and all the other things that are on the horizon. But still, we thank you guys so much, Shroud X, for hanging out with us. But that being said, let's go ahead and give our MVP to the man who lives by the beat of his own drum. It's Cal on the Hawkeye. That's right, because Cal decided, hey, I could use Hella. I could use something else here, but no, I want to bust out. I want to go back to season 1, the way it was when everyone hated Hawkeye. But it's not just a Hawkeye. He also had some moments there that we saw on the Wolverine too. So, you know, Cal really just Avast is a man of wears many hats, and those hats are all very good at this video game.
At Hawk, is this true? At Hawkeye, is this true? And I think overall, I mean, it definitely is, because Cal looked really good. Hawkeye, relatively untraditional, like non-traditional pick, what we've seen in the past from a lot of teams, but the damage potential is there, and it might even get stronger and better as we move to season 2.5. So if you have someone that can play Hawkeye really well, gonna be a threat. And I think just on this map in particular, on the Eagle Path, there's huge sightlines that you can abuse when you combine it with Storms, where you're putting this constant pressure of just this ult tempo back and forth. Envy looked really good, and you know, Cal flexed. I mean, you said, like GB, that they're gonna wear a lot of hats. They're wearing the Wolverine hat, they're wearing the Hawkeye hat. they're fine to wear like the Hella hat when possible, if necessary, right? Obviously one of their better picks. So they played a little squirrel girl even. So overall, Envy relying on Cal again and again and again to just be a really big difference maker for them.
Yeah, very well done. Cal, you are MVP. Achilles, Cal almost gave you a heart attack with that Widow pick.
And, you know, it's the one thing that made me lean a little bit more towards Speedily, but I couldn't deny it. You know, Cal's performance was just so damn good. I would love to see somebody, unironically, not just for a first pick attempt, play the Widow. But I get it. Not going to be the strongest thing. But Envy, I mean, another familiar matchup here is,
That's right.
As far as orgs go, Envy versus 100 Thieves.
And the finals of the Shroud Gauntlet as well, where Envy won 3-0. But remember, that was Fearless Rules, different gauntlet. It was also 4 days later. So we'll see. We'll see, you know, how everything plays out. It's right of ass, like, because, you know, that was a gauntlet in more ways than one. So, you know, you got to factor in, like, you know, exhaustion, the time, all that stuff. Now we got these two squads, I would say, you know, as fresh as grass here, getting ready to go. Might actually lead to pretty damn competitive matchup. What do you think before we head to the break?
I think you should be excited because, like you said, fatigue is big, especially when we run for very marathon matches. And everyone should be pretty fresh here. Envy, obviously, I wouldn't say they necessarily breezed through Shroud X, but it was a pretty fast match. So I don't think they should be necessarily feeling like, oh, we just came off a marathon matchup right here going into this. So it should be relatively fresh. Remember, they're also boot camping ahead of Dreamhack. So they're all together. They're playing together. They're all in a room together, which is something that a lot of teams, I don't think they have, outside of like FlyQuest and 100 Thieves. A lot of teams in North America really aren't in that situation. And this is a new one for Envy as well that can help them maybe level up even a bit more, which is kind of scary to think about. So this match should be ideally a banger.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're all going to take a second, get things all ready to go. On our end here, we've done our business. But by the way, while we have this break, real quick, I do want to say you can go to rivalsfightnight.com. Why don't you go ahead and sign up to our giveaway? Okay, because we're giving away a Intel Core Ultra 9 285K CPU. That's, and when you open the box, it says it just like that. Literally sounds exactly the same. So you want to go ahead and check that out. Sign up there. Also, help us get to 10K followers here on the Twitch channel. Okay. Also, if you want some subs, drop some subs. I don't know. Give us money.
Support the grassroots esports, baby.
That's right. Support the way esports was supposed to be. Speaking of, though, we got a big matchup coming up next. It's Envy going up against 100 Thieves. Our money match along the way. Rip and tear. And we'll see you on the other side.